Good morning and good evening to all of you. It's very important that we are gathered today here and really putting aside everything else but to concentrate on finding solutions or proposing initiatives that could help the different nations of the world deal with this pandemic. I want to congratulate this initiative. It's in moments like this that we all need to come together, put aside all the difference that we might have, and together work in finding solutions. This is important to Nicaragua because it has a great impact on us due to the fact that the government itself has done nothing about it. And if one lesson that we have to learn from all of this is that when it comes to health, to surviving, there's no difference between us. There's no difference in colors. There's no difference in race, politics, social, nor economic differences. There's no price when it comes that you can pay when it comes to deal with the health of the human beings. Yesterday, the president of Nicaragua, on a live broadcast meeting that all of us saw, we were expecting to hear or to see a president really taking his responsibility seriously and addressing this pandemic. But it was not like that. Unfortunately, we heard nothing but the same speech that he talks all the time against the United States, against the wealthy people of Nicaragua, helping and supporting his best friend Maduro from Venezuela, the same things that the retrograde that doesn't help or doesn't solve the crisis that we're living. So that's why initiatives like this are very important, especially to poor countries. Nicaragua is the second poorest country in Latin America. And we have a population of 6.4 million of Nicaraguans. 76% of them are under the age of 40. So maybe that's a good thing because the pandemic affects more the elderly and the very young. But it's so poor that our national product, it's under 3.8% after the crisis, the political crisis that we lived in 2018. The general budget for the Republic this year, it's over 80,000 millions of Cordobas, which is about 2,350 millions of dollars for a nation of 6.4 million of people. We have, as a parliamentarian, a very important responsibility to deal with this, to help our people survive this pandemic. My party, my party in the assembly is an opposition party, and we've presented 2 bills to try to alleviate the process of the pandemic. So, like we heard before, this is not only a health problem, but it's also an economic problem. And when you live in a poor country, when you live and when you have people that depend on what they earn daily to survive, and you ask them to stay home and you ask them to isolate themselves, it's hard to understand how are they going to survive, especially when the basic needs don't stop. You still have to feed your family, you still have to pay electricity, you have to pay water, you have to buy food for your family. That doesn't stop. You don't isolate that. That continues day to day. So it's very hard for poor countries to deal with this and to explain the importance to the people, the importance of staying home, of isolating yourself, especially for at least a month or 2 months to see how it develops, how the pandemic develops. Today we have 4 officially deceased from the pandemic in Nicaragua, but we really don't know. We really don't know because we don't have official information, but what the government wants to sell or wants to tell the world that it's the situation of Nicaragua. So that makes it very hard for us. But as parliamentarians, not only did we present 2 bills where we included different methods to alleviate the economic crisis that the Nicaraguan families are going through, but we also created a bill, a law, where we presented ways to find funds to deal with this pandemic. and from the national budget. We have to mention that in the general budget of the Republic 2020, the average price of the barrel of oil was estimated at $72 a barrel. And today we know that it's not the case. It has gone down, it has dropped dramatically. So there's a difference there in money-wise, budget-wise, that could be designated to the pandemic, could be designated to provide the health workers the essentials needed to deal with this and to not to put their lives in risk. But unfortunately, we have no answer from the government. We do not expect the government to assume any responsible reaction to this pandemic. That's why initiatives like this are very important to us, because our people need to hear a voice, and hear a voice of hope, hear a voice of action, of real actions that really concerns, and that they are really concerned about the survivings of their lives. And I thank the Universal Peace Federation. I thank all of you for involving us in this, because if we don't get an answer from our leaders, we need to assume that leadership, and we need to come forward in helping our people survive this pandemic. Nicaragua, it's a nation of survivors. Nicaragua has gone through many different things in our history. And even though the government has not taken any prevention measurements, the families on their own have assumed that responsibility and are staying home, are covering their faces. We see that the public schools are still open. People are working, the state is working normally. They're still calling for manifestations and public massive reunions from part of the government. But the Nicaraguans family, those that have consciously taken their lives and as their own responsibility, are not doing that. So I appreciate being part of this. And like I said before, you can count on my position as a parliamentarian, that my voice will be heard, and I will pronounce myself and constantly fight for the benefits of the people of Nicaragua. Thank you so much.